We are live.
Yeah, we are hungover.
Yeah. We are
You
hungover. We
had
are
yourself a
tired.
day, sir.
Yesterday, we got a little bit elite, I will say.
I was asking you at one point. I was about to just like yell at you in public and possibly break up the podcast because I thought you were just messing with me to be a dick. When I was trying to find you, I was like,
No, I
Tyler.
didn't have tickets to get back in. I couldn't find Claire.
I was like, I'm at the top of 113, 114. You're like, I don't see you. I'm like, I know you're just fucking with me right now. I know you're just doing this to be a dick. And you're like, I don't see you, man. I don't see you anywhere. And I was like, I fucking hate you, Kyle.
Yeah. The turns out when you give people free bourbon, they drink a lot of it.
Yeah. I mean, you can give them free anything besides maybe bleach. In some cases, you can do that.
That's true. Well,
Yeah.
the chat is sufficiently built.
Eddie Booza.
We are live. 62 people.
So
love that.
Well, let's go over the plan for what we're going to discuss. Because we were talking about just doing this tomorrow night instead, which kind of makes more sense. Like it's a good idea from you, but that also would mean like a ton of bowl games to recap.
Yeah.
And so where did we kind of last time? Like I think it's like the Cheez-It Bowl.
Oh, big Cheez-It Bowl, baby.
Which one, dude?
10 wins.
Which one?
Well, one of them hasn't happened yet, so you know.
Oh yeah, it's tomorrow. Oh shit. I forgot to make those matchup graphics for that. Anyway, so we'll talk about like some of the SEC bowls for sure, then just like some of the other big bowl games. Talk about Steve Sarkisian losing his damn mind on his what do you call it? On his
what was that?
There has to have been something where that guy was like, I don't know, took a shit in his office and was like I didn't flush you, dude, just to play Frank. It's like, don't ever talk to me again. Like something had to have happened where he did not like that guy.
No, I mean that guy worked for like I don't think he worked for Texas, so like it was probably the first time they'd ever met. Not a great introduction. You think Steve Sarkisian's back on the sauce?
That was I haven't seen him that fired up, like because he's kind of soft spoken and not.
Yeah, he had a look in his eye like I'm either really drunk or I'm insane. And given his past,
well, all right. We're not going to speculate on Steve Sarkisian like from a 4-second outburst.
When you put that, when you allow yourself to get to that level in public, people are going to speculate.
You know, honestly, it's the end of the year anyway. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to just doing a full show where we just like break nothing but fake news.
Okay, let's do it. I heard Maryland's leaving the Big Ten.
I keep forgetting they're in the Big Ten. I was like, they're an ACC school. Just bottom line.
So let's start the pod. Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of College Football Uncensored Podcast, brought to you by Saturday Down South and Texas Pete. I'm your host, Tyler Huck.
Our good friends at University Traditions.
And our good friends at University Traditions. I'm your host, Tyler Huck. With me, as always, is my co-host. We went live last night from the game. Chris Marler. Chris, your experience.
Yeah. So for the games?
Yeah.
So yesterday was like an awesome day of football in general.
For real.
Because, and by the way, so I know because we usually like the comment section is always like a lot of fun during this. I want to know what your favorite moment of bowl season has been so far from your own team, because that's obvious, but also from not your team. Like, what stood out? What's your favorite part of the bowl game so far? Don't say the Cheez-It room. But yeah, so put those in the comments as well. We'll read the best ones like on air. So the experience for me yesterday, it was a little bit odd just because like I couldn't get past the fact that the Sugar Bowl being at 11 a.m. was just weird as hell.
It really was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And so
couldn't they have put the damn LSU Purdue game on at that time instead of being tomorrow?
I mean, probably not. It's for some reason. I'm sure they like have it all figured out. I'd say what they could have done was just told Kentucky and Iowa to go the fuck home, and not do any of that.
I mean, Kentucky could have not shown up and scored the same amount of points.
Just like I didn't watch a second of that game because I'm promising to not hate myself going into 2023, and that seemed like it was just very, very self. Look, I don't want to say abuse, but just it's not good. Like you got to be kind of like a little bit of a sicko if you're like watching that game and you're not a fan of either
It
team.
ran at the same time as the Bama game too, didn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be a real sicko at that point to be like, you know what? I'm not going to watch the Sugar Bowl this year. I think I'm going to tune into the what bowl was that?
I think it's the Music City Bowl. I bet an alternate line. It's even lower than the total. I've got it at 12.
Almost.
I mean, they had like it was 21-0 at the half, and I didn't watch a second of it, right? And I wasn't keeping up with that. I didn't care. And then they were showing the recap, like the replay or like the highlights or something. They were like, "Man, Iowa's defense stepping up again, 2 pick sixes," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Of course it happened. Of course that's how the game played out.
So Kentucky could have not showed up and scored the same amount of points as they did, but Iowa couldn't have. I mean, they had 14 points off of defensive touchdowns. So if Kentucky hadn't shown up, all they would have been able to score was 7.
I saw a stat somewhere that said they had 7 passing touchdowns all year, and they had 6 or 8 defensive touchdowns all season as well, which is just crazy. But no, like yesterday in general was awesome. I think partially for me because like I was wondering what the Bama Kansas State game was going to look like, and I think like, I wanted to ease into the day, and I wasn't going to get too hyped up over a meaningless bowl. And in the first 6 minutes of that game, when Twitter was exploding about Bama being down 10-0, our own social media guy, Alex Ansted, tweeted out like, "This is the Bama team you guys want to see in the playoff." And like by the time I saw it, Bama was back up 14-10. And so I just started my day of drinking and setting the record straight on things on Twitter. It was a really good day of football.
It was fantastic. As if people don't know by now, I live about 45 minutes from the city. So unfortunately, I had to, a lot of the Sugar Bowl was spent driving down to the city, getting where I was going, staying for the night, getting Ubers, all that kind of stuff.
God,
but I did see
fucking Uber situation, dude.
The Uber situation yesterday was an absolute nightmare. Also trying to deal with it while you're like 50 bourbons deep is not good. My wife was ready to kill me.
50 bourbons deep.
I mean, I obviously did not drink 50 bourbons.
That's fair.
Could have been at least
20. So but like we do want to get like talk about like the other bowl games as well. I think like we have to talk about the college football playoff semifinals now because that was like I think it's like what we've been waiting on for like years now is these matchups that we've like wanted to create, we look forward to, and like you're trying to pair like the best versus the best and reward the teams that deserve to be rewarded and put them in the playoff. And every single year, it's like seems like it's a giant letdown outside of like, a couple of those Clemson Ohio State games. I mean, 11 of the 14 semifinal games going into this season were decided by, was it at least a touchdown or is it like double digits? I think it was double digits. And 7 of those were decided by 20 or more points, which is just like, when you're like setting up a whole system, like not rigging a system, but the whole point of your system you're putting in place is like, we're going to put the best teams and the best games and blah, blah, blah. What's up, Johnny Ricks? And then you just routinely have just, like a shitty blowout game where it's over in like the third quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's obviously, I think this as a doubleheader of games, this is obviously the best semifinal we've had yet in the CFP era.
Don't ever let Bama back in it.
I'm fine with that. It started obviously during the day. You had TCU and Michigan. TCU, we've been on them all year, and they did not disappoint. What a game! 51
with the TCU game.
What's that?
Why are we opening with the TCU game?
Because it was the first one of 2.
We should talk about the Georgia game since most of our audience was there with us last night, and we were there.
We were there. Don't you save the best for last? Are you one of those guys that tries to do the best first, and then the rest of it just sucks, right?
No, I just think it's the most topical thing. It like that was one of the best games of the year, maybe in the last several years, and it's like I think that's probably what we should talk about first.
All right, let's talk about
Bryce Young for the next 4 to 27 minutes.
All right, let's talk about the Georgia game then, Go ahead. Your thoughts.
So mad. Okay, Tyler, it's the biggest game of the year so far, besides maybe Georgia Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So going into that game, I thought stop being mad. I was super pumped because I thought that like I hate Ohio State and I hate the Big Ten, and I realized like the night before, and I got like a giant Grinch smile like on my face for like almost 24 hours because I realized like I was walking into a win-win situation in this Georgia Ohio State game. Like I was playing with house money because if Georgia beats Ohio State, that's what we all kind of thought would happen, and they're going to go to the Natty, and Ohio State fans can shut the fuck up a little bit on Twitter for a while. They're the worst. Also, like Ryan Day and some of those other like guys who were like openly talking shit during media availability this week about Georgia. I would have been fine with that. And then I realized, like, wait a second, if Georgia loses, not only does that mean Georgia loses, but it also means that the preseason predictions we made where I said Ohio State would beat Georgia for the national title, I would have got to pat myself on the back on that. And I was doing it all first half.
Well, that wouldn't have been true, though, because they would have beat them for a playoff. But, no, I think going into the game, it felt like a lot of people were just writing Ohio State off because of the Michigan game. And I was saying that leading in. I actually happened to tailgate with a bunch of Ohio State guys and gals. And that's what I was telling them. I said, outside of one bad half of football against Michigan, it's Ohio State was everyone like loved them. They've got great receivers that showed up in the game in a big way. And look, man, I mean, for 55 minutes, 58 minutes, Ohio State looked like the better team. I mean, it was a very evenly matched game.
Those are the two best teams in the country.
CJ Stroud was incredible.
He was awesome, man. Like everything Ohio. So I feel like I have so many takes or takeaways from this game, and it's not even like good or bad from one side. It's just like I feel like there's like nothing but positives. Like those were the two best teams in the country, clearly, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially on that like given night, because all we've seen from Kirby and that defense and like all season is like when they want to put the clamps down. We saw it against Tennessee. When they want to prove a point, they prove a point, and they've just kind of either played with their food or they boat race people. And like with LSU, they put up 50 points like it was nothing. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of thought especially after what Michigan did from just running the football, that like Georgia could do whatever whatever game plan they wanted to put in place. So we're going to run the football down their throat, or we're going to pass like all over the field, like, with Stetson. I thought they would win by double digits with either. And I was wrong. I was like completely wrong about Ohio State. And I'll tell you another thing I was wrong about was Ryan Day and how good of a play caller he is. How the fact that team every single time they took every single fucking punch that Georgia could throw at them. They played an incredible game. And I don't think I walked out of there I feel like with a totally different view or perception of Ohio State and Ryan Day's as a program, and like how prepared and like I think elite they were in every single form of the game, I guess, like on Saturday night. But their fans too, man. Their fans got stuck on Twitter because the Bama Georgia game in 2017, second 26, that was like 80-20 Bama Georgia. It was like maybe 40-60, closer to like 50-50. Yeah, that was awesome.
Just in the box that I was sitting in, it was like half Ohio State fans in the box. Like I was shocked. Man, what an impressive night. I mean, the fact that Ohio State's O-line kept Stroud upright all game. I mean, he had time to pass. And
he was running. He hasn't done that all season. Didn't have a single rushing touchdown in 12 games. And he is like dicing them up at every single turn.
Yeah, no doubt. And I thought, obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr. was incredible. It sucked that he got knocked out of the game. He didn't play in the fourth quarter. That obviously,
the receiver got hurt.
Yeah, receiver
Didn't
got
Ohio State
hurt.
already have another receiver out?
Yeah, he did. He's preparing for the draft.
Wow, that's awesome. Good for them.
Two missing receivers in this game.
Wow. Good for Georgia, man.
But it's
they
not
got
an
a break.
excuse. It's just an excuse, right?
Here's the thing. We're gonna get into this at the very end because I haven't seen this side of Georgia fans in a while because they've been so great. They've been so dominant. But I think there was a very real childlike fear, I feel like, that was like sweeping across that stadium with Georgia fans. Because like I think they were a little bit in shock when they were down 14 points. Stetson throws a pick. They're like, I mean, I knew that Day would be able to scheme up some like effective play calls and maybe get into like the end zone early, but at some point they're going to make adjustments. And when Georgia tied it up or went up like 24-21 and it's like there's a minute left in the half and Ohio State went 75 yards in 4 plays, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible.
Both teams took turns just answering the bell when it had to be answered. And, Georgia was down 38-24 in the fourth quarter.
Incredible.
And so any questions of, resiliency or, because obviously for pretty much all of last year, outside of the SEC game and all of this year, really, not facing a ton of adversity.
That's the thing. And I've almost felt like Kirby tried to like manually like manufacture some adversity throughout the season, like the Kentucky game. I felt like the Kentucky game, they could have probably done whatever they wanted to with Kentucky, but they've just like very comfortably played to a 16-6 win on the road. And like, because that was one thing like a year ago, they had not had anyone come close to them besides like since the Clemson game in week 1. And, when they get punched in the mouth against Bama, I think it was like kind of a difficult way to respond. Like they didn't know how to respond.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Kirby actually manufactured. I don't know if Sarkisian's drinking again. But either way, they did an incredible job. Like, and that's why I know there's been a couple of comments about like, well, like they had all day to throw, or like I just think it was like best on best, man. You're talking about that left tackle is going to be a top 10 pick. Like I know Georgia fans were upset about like the Keely Ringo thing, but like
he got
you
torched.
Were facing. He did.
He got torched by Marvin Harrison all night long.
I mean, Harrison he's got his first one on Stars, right?
He's did he win the Blitnikoff? I can't remember now.
No, because Justin or Jalen Hyatt scored 87 touchdowns against Bama. So, but I mean, like the thing is, it's the best receiver in the country. It's a top 5 pick at QB.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you're gonna get beat. It's like it would be like watching like Barry Bonds like go up against like I don't know, like a Aroldis Chapman or something like that. That's a better example. That's a much better example. But no, I thought it was like I was worried for Georgia for a minute. Like when
I was too.
They got out of the half, man.
When they went down 21-7 is when I first saw it from the Georgia fans, including my wife who was sitting next to me. It was funny too because I was wearing the Georgia gear. That's the first time I've ever done that. And I had my Florida State gear on as well. And I was just wanting a good game, truthfully. I didn't want to sit there and watch a Georgia blowout. Of course, I never had it in my mind that Ohio State would blow out Georgia. So I just wanted a good game. And so I had these two guys sitting behind me that were like big Ohio State guys. And I was like quietly dapping them up when they would do something good. And my wife caught me at one point and she was like, I can't believe you. So I had to kind of mute my fandom or lack thereof. But I could see it, when Ohio State went up 21-7, I could see a little bit of a fear striking Georgia fans. Yeah.
Well, and like with good reason, because they're at a point now, and this is something. It's a testament to how good the program is. It's like you're going to be in what's essentially a 1 to 3 game season every year. Like it's not going to be as much fun as it used to be, almost, because like you're going to beat the shit out of everybody, and then you're just basically hurrying up through the season to get to the playoff and like get a chance at winning a natty like every single year. And, you look back at like 13 wins, like, their first 13-0 season they've ever had at UGA. Like you get a Heisman finalist at quarterback. The defense is great after losing. Like the story was great. And they seemed like week in and week out, really consistent and really dominant. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, this could all just be for nothing. If we like don't get our shit together. And I think so for me, like, because there were so many cool moments in this game on both sides, really. But like, Georgia getting after Stroud early, Stroud being able to step up and put that team on his back, and like him and Stetson, they literally had like a mirrored like stat line outside. I think like Stetson had like 50 more yards, but they had the same exact like completions and attempts. Again, him doing it with his legs. But how about like Arian Smith? Like the first pass of the game was to A.D. Mitchell, which I loved, and he scores the game-winning touchdown. But your leading receiver is a guy that we kind of wrote off because he got injured again. And I remember saying, like, I wonder, it wasn't to be like a dick, but I was like, I almost wonder if like that kid's got something else planned for him from like a higher power or something. Like he's not supposed to be playing football because every single year he's had some devastating like season-ending injury. Comes up with 3 catches for like 119 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, so I'd say the two standouts outside of that, incredible catch by Bowers, where he, that play where he levitated essentially. I saw someone mention in the chat.
You seen this?
You had Arian Smith. So let me go tell you the game log for Arian Smith this year.
I think he had
his
5
first catch
catches
came on October 1st against Missouri. He had 1 catch in that game for 7 yards. He had 1 catch against Tennessee for 52 yards and 1 catch against LSU in the SEC championship game for 7 yards. In this game, 3 catches, 129 yards, a 76-yard touchdown, and that's what cut it to 38-35 after they had the 2-point conversion. Just an incredible way to step up. And then A.D. Mitchell,
incredible,
5 catches on the year. 4 of them were in the first game against Oregon, and then 1 catch for 4 yards against Samford. Not another stat the rest of the year until last night.
I remember saying this last year, and Monken does such a good job of getting everybody involved and distributing the football like all over the place. Because like you saw with Bama like last year in comparison to UGA, which was like they had 2 guys, and when they went down, it was like we're not going to throw to fucking Slade Bolden. Like, they did not try to like spread the wealth at all in that offense, and like they lost like 3 running backs, so you had 1 guy getting the line share that carries there. And I remember looking at like the amount of like targets and the amount of like receptions like and different receivers who caught a pass like in the last like few games of the year for Bama versus Georgia. And it'd be like 5 or 4, something like that for Bama. Every single game from the halfway point of the season from the Florida game, there were at least 8 different receivers who caught a single pass in their last 7 games. And they did the same thing this year. They had 10 different guys catch a pass. What do you call it? Yesterday from Stetson. And not only did they do that, but they did it in the first half. It's an incredible job all the way around. And like having those guys there's not a lot of cohesiveness. They haven't been at practice. That was incredible.
Well, and I saw you put this out on Twitter, but so I'll let you talk about it. But Stetson in the fourth quarter.
Okay, so this is like one of the coolest things about it, because again, I love what Ohio State was able to do and keep taking punch after punch after punch. But Stetson Bennett comes out and there was a lull in the middle of the game. There's
100%. I mean, look, his stat line ended up being 300, almost 400 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Right. But I think there's definitely an argument to be made that he was not playing well at some point in the game.
So he comes out in the first quarter and he's 9 of 10 for 100 yards and a touchdown. From the second and third quarter, he throws that pick in the second quarter, but in the second and third quarter, he was 4 of 12. Yeah, and this is what I love most about it, because like everyone started to like, there were people openly saying like it might be time to bring him out. I was like, this is unbelievable. Like, here we go again. And I remember like they go to the fourth quarter and Georgia's down by 14 against one of the best offenses in the country. He's like whipped you up and down the field all day. And I remember like making a joke. I was like, this is so rude of Stetson just to put, all of these fans through like just torture for like 3 quarters just so he could be the fucking hero all over again. And I was saying it in jest, but Stetson comes out in the fourth quarter. And I said, this was the cool thing. Even last year when they beat Bama, was like, they had the chance to, take him out, run the football, whatever. Georgia was averaging 9.8 yards per carry at halftime. And they went away from.
And by the way, Ohio State, that was what was so impressive about Stroud. They couldn't run the ball worth a shit
at all. At all. So Stetson comes in and he goes in the fourth quarter. He goes 10 of 12 for 207 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had 3 drives. All 3 were scoring drives. And to show you like how ridiculous it was, like in the just how much the narrative has changed and maybe how like lazy the narrative was before. One of my buddies texted, he's like, I don't know if Kirby doesn't trust Stetson. You said at the halftime, like, interview. And I was like, what are you talking about? And so this was like a super hot take of his, I guess. And I go back and look at it. There were 18 total plays that Georgia ran in the fourth quarter. Only 2 of them were not involving Stetson. Whether it's design runs to Stetson or whether it's like passing, or like pass attempts, like whatever. It was 2 of the 18 play calls were to somebody other than Stetson Bennett. And I mean, you look at like that kid and what he's been able to do and how quickly that narrative's changed, because in that building last December, you had, a lot of concern, like maybe we can't win it if he's the guy. And, he had 3 interceptions against Bama. He comes out, man, and like in college football, in the college football playoff alone, just in the fourth quarter of college football playoff games, when it matters most, right? He is 15 of 17, 88% passes. He's averaging 19.1 yards per attempt. He has 5 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. It's just incredible, man.
Absolutely incredible. Where Georgia could have lost the game, they were pretty abysmal on third down. They had a 20% success rate on third down, which is in the 6th percentile. But where they won the game, 11 explosive plays compared to 3 for Ohio State. I mean, I just felt like every time it felt like the game was getting out of Georgia's grasp, they would make some monster play, like some huge play down the field.
Right.
And it just saved them. And
well, and again, like back against the wall, because I tell you what, the 2 most uncharacteristic things I saw from Georgia, like they missed a couple field goals, so they played like a B- game. I feel like it was not a good game, like as a whole. Missing it, like the field goals, I think obviously that becomes like a huge issue later on, but like scoring with like a minute to go in the first half, and you're getting the ball coming out in the second half, and allowing Ohio State to go right down the field in 4 plays, 75 yards to take the lead again. That was very uncharacteristic. And then the other thing was 2nd and goal from the 3-yard line. Todd Monken ran some fucking weird, like reverse to Ladd McConkey, who's like already not like, he's like a shell of himself because of that knee injury. And they end up losing like 8 to 10 yards. And we're like, I think they almost fumbled or something like that. And you look at it, like they have to settle for a field goal. That, like that could have been like the source of nightmares for years to come if they end up not scoring. But final drive, you give Stetson the ball 5 for 5, 70, I think it was like 82 or 75 yards right down the field, ball game.
Just I think one of the all-time games, definitely probably the best game I've ever been to live, if I had to say.
I will tell you that was a better game than 2nd and 26.
Yeah, just an incredible game. So obviously Georgia fans, and one of the coolest things. How about the timing? Have you seen that video online?
That was cool. Yeah,
the peach or the ball dropped like the exact moment that Ohio State missed the kick. Just what an incredible night for Georgia fans. I mean, it's been an incredible 2-year run here, and we'll see how it ends, because they go and they're not playing Michigan; they're playing TCU.
They are. And I did want to say one last thing about this, because I don't know if you saw the one person here in the comments, Caleb with a K, which is, I love it.
I did not.
This was
with a K.
Jay Woody, our Facebook group moderator, called me today and was like, "Are you seeing all these comments about the game?" I was like, "What about it?" He's like, "Was there like a bunch of missed calls or something like that?" I was like, I don't think, like, there was no part of that game that made me feel like officiating decided the outcome.
No.
Is that fair?
Absolutely.
This is going to shock you, but a select few, I think, Georgia fans, when they got their backs against the wall and put in that old familiar position they were in, where they might lose in like horrible fashion,
right?
They went right back to their instincts and immediately started blaming the refs. And so this was an actual, like, I didn't think this was a take. And there's multiple people said this, like, that was the worst officiated game I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, Each team had 4 penalties for like 40 yards.
Did you watch the game right before this game? Because there was some real bad refereeing in the Michigan TCU game.
I hate the fact that like we have to do we can't just enjoy anything or like everything has to be something, right?
Yeah.
And so there was just like a bunch of comments, and it wasn't just like one person; it was a bunch of people. Like there were.
Look at that. I'm guessing you know this guy.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay.
Yeah. This is. I love this. I love this. So and
yeah,
also,
and the Swampy McGee makes a good point.
Yeah.
I didn't hear anybody complaining about the refs. But like I had a lot of Georgia fans around me. Nobody was really complaining about the refs.
This can't be a real person. Hold on, put that picture back. What the fuck is this? Is he in a barbershop quartet? No, I like I think there are times like when there's bad calls and stuff like that. That Ole Miss game was horrible. But I just thought this was like at every single turn, it was one of the best games between the two best teams. What is this? What is happening right now?
Everybody's mad at you now about the ref thing.
Okay, so I'm going to read this from Caleb with a K. It says, sick of the gaslighting routine, Marler. You use the, quote, horny for disrespect line to mean Georgia fans look for disrespect where it isn't there, which you do. Then you routinely disrespect Georgia fans even now. So I haven't disrespected any Georgia fans. That's not the intent. And I always do love when people tell me what I was doing to them, because they know my intentions for sure. But if you left that game and your only response was the worst officiated game ever, fucking go outside, touch some grass, and like that was one of the best games of all time. And you know what? You know what the refs didn't cost you? The refs didn't cost you that fucking play on second goal from the 3. The refs didn't have you miss 2 field goals. The refs didn't have you routinely make like I guess like lapse in either judgment or just like broken plays like in the secondary. None of that happened. And you guys, Ohio State played their best game of the season, their best possible game, like they could have played. A+, like 100%. And Georgia was still able to win. That says so much about that team and that program. So listen, I don't know what you could be upset about, but if you go on like a fucking tirade in the Facebook group bitching about refs in a game that you won, I don't know how to tell you this, Caleb, but you kind of sound like a little bit of a bitch. And the whole horny for disrespect thing and like gaslighting your fans, I don't know how else to appease Georgia fans at this point. I just like I've predicted them to win the Natty. I say like I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally,
Michael,
I can't believe Chris the Bama boy is giving us this lecture.
Also, you don't get to call me boy when you're in a fucking like khaki shorts and bow tie. Like, what is going on here in this picture?
So yeah, it was an interesting game for sure. I think obviously hat tip to Georgia because you're right. I hadn't seen Ohio State play like that all year.
No,
CJ Stroud hadn't played that way all year. Marvin Harrison had, but you finally had a Miku Egbuka who was a 5-star receiver.
Mm-hmm.
112 yards, 8 catches on 9 targets, a touchdown. I mean, their guys showed up in a big way. Julian Fleming, another 5-star receiver, 5 catches on 6 targets, 71 yards. I mean,
dude, how about that secondary shutting down Brock? Like, at one point, Stetson had 22 pass attempts, and he had 2 targets to Brock Bowers at that point.
So yeah, just an insane level of play throughout the game on both sides. I thought. Right. I mean, I didn't think Georgia played a bad game. Their defense clearly it didn't look like it has in the past. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think that I was part a little surprised about the lack of pass rush and stuff like that. But also, again, like I just don't think it's anything that's like the sky is falling. I think it like. I have a hard time believing that there probably wasn't a single hold on Jalen Carter for 60 minutes because of just how much of a monster that kid is. But man, I mean, like it's like if you saw, remember like you were showing like the roster like talent composites, whatever from 24/7. If you remember, like the Georgia and Ohio State, like just from a number standpoint, it's like the Spider-Man pointing me, like it's almost identical. So,
maybe one day I'll play the guitar on here, James. Just for you. I did hear I was listening to some podcasts that recap the game just to get kind of some other people's opinions. Because obviously, I will say I love going to games, and that atmosphere was just
so good.
awesome to be at. You do miss a lot not listening to the broadcast, and apparently they said on the broadcast that Jalen Carter, like in the first quarter, was coming out like he was like fatigued. And
Really?
someone here in the chat is saying, Jesse in the chat saying Bowers was sick.
It was also kind of like chippy at times. That like I watched the replay last night when I got home, but I saw it a couple times during the game. Like it was especially like on the lines of scrimmage, it got a little bit chippy, like especially early on.
I will say that I think it's insane that you watched the game when you got home last night, considering you told me you didn't even leave the stadium area until 3:30.
Listen, Tyler, I don't know how to tell you this, but I didn't go to sleep, and I don't care. It was a lot of fun. I slept today.
I think I know.
But I mean, like, one, I was just fucking pissed because I didn't get into an Uber until 3:30 in the morning. So
yeah, the Uber situation. I don't know who in the chat was actually at the game and
Michael,
Ubered
no
to
one
the
gives a
game,
shit
but
about
it
your
was an
brother and the
absolute
refs.
just nightmare.
Yeah,
to get out of there.
It was awful. All right, so the other non-nightmare, TCU Michigan, man.
And
TCU
it took a while to get into the stadium, so I missed the part where like Michigan somehow got back into the game. But for the majority of the game, TCU was like they just were dominating Michigan.
Dude, I'm not making this up. We left the tailgate. They took down the TVs and it was 48 to like 30. Right? And we were like in that little like grass, like little valley area on the outside of the stadium. We walk from there, we go up, go up the stairs, and we go get in line. And by the time I get in line and look at my phone, it was 48 to like 45. And I was like, what in the actual fuck is happening right now? It was like 3 real-time minutes.
So look, I mean, TCU obviously put up 51 points. 14 of them came off of pick sixes. Need a live game watch for the Natty for sure. That could be fun. Sucks that it's on a Monday. What are your thoughts?
I never realized that people hated that
being on Mondays.
I mean, I wouldn't say I liked it necessarily. I didn't know everyone hated it.
I think it's just the thing of like it, they don't kick off until like 8:30, and then it's a longer game than normal, and it's just you got to wake up the next day, go to work. It sucks, but
no, you don't have to if you don't want to. Like
that's true. But yeah. So JJ McCarthy. I mean, the game started where they went for it on 4th and goal. They tried some weird trick play that had no chance of ever working. And from there, like TCU just took off. Quentin Johnson, like just another 163 yards and a touchdown. Max Duggan, obviously 225 through the air, 2 touchdowns, another 2 on the ground. Mostly shocked that Michigan coming to the game after that Ohio State game. I think they might have been feeling themselves a little too much.
They absolutely had to have been feeling themselves, and like with good reason, man. Because it's like that was such a huge monkey on their backs. Of like, you lost for 14 straight fucking years.
Yeah,
I mean, they weren't even like relevant. It seemed like so. You beat them 2 years in a row, and then you win the Big Ten or whatever, or Big Three, whatever you want to call it at this point. And I will say that like I watched the game against Purdue, and it, I wasn't like blown away by anything they did. They're a solid football team. I think they're like their style of play and like their game plan seems a little bit like more methodical and just like pounding the football. But like Sonny Dykes, like it was. I feel like we kept saying it's like in like October, November, the committee just refused to give TCU any respect. Like refused to put him like up there and like until like the very end. And Sonny Dykes, knowing all that, I just love the fact that he's out here just openly calling people out. He makes the comment about the SEC, about how it was like, it's tough. Like, and these teams out here playing like, I think it's like Austin P in week 13. He's like, we caught in week 13, Texas.
Yeah.
Side note, they also played Tarleton State, whatever that is, in week 2. So when we played Texas, but no, like, and then I love the fact that like they flat out said they were going to. Their game plan was to make JJ McCarthy beat him with his arm. They just called a shot, and for the 12th time this year or 13th time this year. He's looked like a fucking genius after the game.
Yeah, for the question in the chat, who's more fun to watch lose, Day or Harbaugh? For sure, Harbaugh. I don't really have anything against Day, to be honest. I do think it's funny that Harbaugh said he was born on third base. That is funny.
That was really good, yeah. I really do just think that, like, the moment I saw they were down 14-0, I knew that I was going to be a dick to somebody on Twitter that night for the Big Ten. Because like, that was the thing that was so frustrating. It's like, I'm not saying that both those teams deserve to be in there for sure. But my God, is it fucking hilarious if the first time you get two Big Ten teams in there and you lay an egg and you're out like day one. Just day one, you're out. Yep. You lost to TCU. You were like almost a double-digit favorite in that game. The other game, you had a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. I just, because again, Michigan didn't play anybody all year, and I think that's one thing that was like we talked about having like Kirby and Georgia like not facing a lot of adversity. If there's anything TCU faced besides weird fucking frogs on the sidelines like that, it's absolutely adversity.
Absolutely. Hey, I have to pee real fast, so you continue on.
I don't want to. We'll sit here in silence. All right. Okay, so going back to the TCU game and Michigan as well. JJ McCarthy didn't play bad. I didn't think he was like, but he didn't. He was like pretty adamant about how. I think the comment was something about like how the quote from Sonny Dykes was like listening to ASMR, and how he was gonna like take pride in the fact that like they were gonna try to beat him like by making him throw and he was gonna prove him wrong or whatnot, whatever. I mean, him and Max Duggan had similar lines. I think they both had 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But man, I feel like there also wasn't a single drive in this game. I don't feel like I just feel like every time you looked up, it was just some fucking broken play and like a 70-yard run or a 70-yard pass. It was an incredible game. Dave was pumped to the extreme. They really were, man. I will say that the one kid was talking about the gaslighting thing, and I'm not 100% sure he knows the meaning of it, but I will say I don't think I've ever seen a collective group gaslight themselves more maybe than Ohio State fans, the whole Ohio against the world. I don't think the world's out to get Ohio, but they know how to put a chip on their shoulder for sure. He was lit on the sideline.
Okay, I'm back. By the way, and I feel like this is the type of podcast where we could talk about this. Have you been seeing the rumors that are circulating around LSU right now?
What?
I'm gonna just send you this. I'll see what you think about us talking about this.
Oh God.
But yeah, man, I super happy for TCU. Super happy for college football. I think it's good that a team like TCU can play in the championship
and beat a blue blood.
I've already, excuse me, I've already talked about this, but I think I was wrong on the transfer portal / NIL making the rich get richer. I think it's actually spreading out the talent across the country.
I mean, it's probably just a little bit too early to tell what like the real trend will concretely be. But TCU they've done work in the portal, man. Like they have done absolute work. They got the Beck kid from or Besh, what's his name? The receiver from LSU. They got him. They got that Brockmeyer kid from Bama. They got like a
JoJo Earl.
Yeah, they got JoJo Earl, who's like a top 40 recruit or something like that. Like they've done a really good job. I mean, Sonny Dykes, like I love the fact that they were able to each week like shock the world, it seemed like, and they get to the end of the year and like then you get like Max Duggan having that like tugging on heartstrings because he was crying after the game because he thought they had blown it, they were going to get in, but to go beat a team like Michigan, that was awesome.
Okay, read your text message, see what you think about what I just sent you. And I will say too, Ben Diesel's talking about it now. You just talked about it. The effects of NIL and transfer portal certainly aren't known yet. I do know for a team like Florida State, it's turned us around from being 3 wins 2 years ago to 10 wins now. and we still get good news in the portal pretty much daily, to the point where like I feel great about 2023 now all of a sudden.
Yeah, we're gonna preview the national championship, obviously, but
oh yeah, separately from this, 100%.
yeah, we definitely should get in some of these. There's some really good games on this week. I cannot fucking believe what you just sent me here.
Yeah. Well, I think for anybody, if there's anyone in the chat that is an LSU fan,
I'm just gonna read it.
Please, yeah, go ahead, please.
All right, we're gonna kick off 2023 with a sex scandal in the SEC.
LSU rumors. Let's do it.
So this says secret board scoop, which already sounds fake.
Yep.
Not out in the public sphere yet, but booty was just the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah. So
Apparently
as some of you know,
Kayshon
Boutte said he was going to go to the NFL. Then he decided he was going to come back, and then he was mysteriously not coming back all of a sudden.
I don't think it's mysterious. I think he's just. I mean, if you would have told me he was just going to get paid, I would have believed that. If I didn't realize that it was a sex party gone awry.
So continue.
Apparently, there was a sex party in Atlanta during the SEC championship stay, and the participants got caught.
I don't know if we should read the names. I mean, Kayshon, we've already done that.
I'm reading all of it.
Okay, all right.
I didn't. I
mean, this was on the internet, so this isn't like something that I.
It says here on I'm looking at it right now, and it says it was a 3-part job. It was written by Emery Picker, Caleb Tillman, and then also Michael Castleberry. They're the ones that actually reported on this. So if you guys want to get mad, blame them.
They were in the sex party too.
They had a sex party. Yeah, they were just filming. They got left out for sure. At least 5 people have been identified in the sex party. Kayshon Boutte, Destiny Wilson. Is that a player?
The on-campus recruiting coordinator. That's a female.
That was a comma.
She's actually the lone female in this sex party, which is
I don't like
troubling.
That.
Cortez Hankton, the wide receivers coach. J.R. Belton, the director of recruiting.
I just don't feel like I would have wanted to have. I would never want to have sex like anywhere close, like in the near vicinity of another person, a friend, a relative, anyone.
Boutte was coach. So these are the facts of this. Boutte was dismissed. Destiny Wilson, the lone female, resigned on December 8th. She has a history of this sort of behavior, and LSU failed to catch it in due diligence.
Hold on. What do you mean she's a history of this sort of behavior? We cannot say that.
It's what it says on here.
We're not going to kink shame anyone.
Cortez Hankton, the highest paid wide receiver coach in the country, will be terminated effective after the bowl game. So that's what we're going to look for. Tomorrow, LSU plays Mississippi or Purdue. If Cortez Hankton gets fired, I'm going to start believing this rumor. Because this says Hankton's getting.
I want to believe it now.
Yeah, I mean, I do believe it now because I choose to. But Hankton is going to be terminated effective immediately after the bowl game. The fates of Belton and Phillips are not yet known. Both are almost certainly gone. So we'll see.
I just can't imagine, because coaches are supposed to teach you and coach you and mentor you. And there's genres about that. To each their own. But I just can't imagine showing up to practice the next day and being like, what's up, coach? We're doing position drills today, or
position drills, am I right?
I'm kind of break up into positions. I'm doing doggy style.
Wow.
And also no wonder Kayshon Boutte was so arrogant in terms of how he was handling his business at the beginning of the season. He was the only player they let join their reindeer games.
Yep. So that's me interesting. I do love that we're a podcast that just reports rumors that are we have no idea if they're real. But we're journalists. I mean, we stand by our reporting.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously we're going to get into the TCU Georgia game at a later date. I saw the early line was 13.5.
That's by the way, the price for the tickets just plummeted immediately too.
TCU, we were talking about this last night. TCU can't be that big of a school.
Oh, I did the deep dive, and it could not have been less interesting. Real quick. Okay, because you know how I nerd out with these things.
Yeah.
TCU there just wasn't anything. It was like no one would have found anything. They got cucked out of their own campus when they first opened. They opened up a Christian like based school, like about values and stuff. They actually have over 60 different religions represented there, though, not just Christianity. But when they first opened, apparently like Fort Worth, like was like a small town, and then within a couple of years, it became like a boom town. And then like I guess it's like Tombstone, so people took over and put like casinos and saloons and like so the entire place just turned into like I forgot what they called it. It was like Hell's Half Acre or something, and it was just like I don't know, dirty ass mustache cowboy hat Vegas, but like in the 1800s. So they left their own campus and went to Waco. And then they were there. They were going to stay there across town from their rival, and then that school burned down. So they went back to Fort Worth.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So there you go. Swampy McGee's got it here. Fall of 2022, TCU had 12,000 students.
He's reading it from my graphic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he is.
It's a very small, and they don't have the biggest endowment either. Neither does Keishawn Booty, from what I've heard.
Well, maybe we'll find out soon.
I hope.
Talk about a guy's draft stock plummeting over a year.
You don't know that?
Maybe the NFL's into sex parties.
I mean, the NBA is for sure.
So we have almost gone an hour. So we can lightly touch on the other games.
What were the things that stood out to you from like the week after Christmas bowls and stuff like that? There's a couple for sure.
I was very impressed with Tennessee. I thought that they would struggle just given that their two best receivers were out, plus obviously Hendon Hooker was out, and I'm not a fan of Joe Milton. Was very wrong on that. I believe he won the MVP of the game, didn't he?
I have no idea, but if he didn't, he should have for sure.
I believe he did. I thought that was really impressive. Clemson. I'm very interested to watch Clemson next year because, man, they're basically like it feels like Klubnik. If he's not good, this could be the end of Clemson's like really good run.
I love that you say this like several times a year.
If Clemson wasn't in the ACC, they would be a 4-loss team.
For sure. Yeah. I mean,
Florida State's on the rise, bitches. Let's go.
Obviously. Hold on real quick. The thing with Joe Milton, I'm going to apologize to Tennessee fans because I was so wrong about this because I kept saying how I understand how they offer, like he's got like an incredible arm, but he doesn't have like a lot of accuracy, right? That seems like that's constantly been his problem, like throughout his 8 years in college. And this offense is predicated on like not just intermediate routes accuracy, but like throwing the deep ball and throwing it very, very accurately. I didn't know if he could do that. I think like I'm going to make a comparison here that's going to sound stupid, but he's like almost like Aaron Judge a little bit or maybe like Giancarlo Stanton.
Okay.
Like what he's like physically, there's no one else that's like anywhere close to being like on par with what he's able to do. I mean, he's like just like flicks his wrist. It's like an 80-yard bomb, right?
A flick of the
but
wrist.
He also is like going to probably hit 240 and with 60 homers. Maybe he's like Dan Uggla. I don't know. But he's like, I think I said somewhere last week that there might even be like a, quarterback controversy going into spring or coming out of spring, going into fall camp because they got that 5-star Nico coming in who's very.
He was on the sideline, by the way. I was watching. He was just he was in uniform. He wasn't in pads.
Was he early enrollee?
Yeah.
What was that to be?
Like early enrolled really in December, I guess.
Yeah, that's also fair. But no, I thought strange. Like I just assumed it's like I mean if Milton could execute it, like he probably wouldn't have left Michigan. He probably would have been like continued to be the starter over Hendon Hooker. But man, like he talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. That was awesome.
Yeah, that's great for him. So I mean, I guess. Well, yeah, I would think that the Nico kid will be starting at some point, but you may have Milton as the starter going in. Let's see. What else did I like? Let me go look at the games here.
The FSU game was cool.
The FSU game was fun.
It's a great game.
I'm a little disappointed. about the defense. I think they're going to have to get some things fixed in the secondary to have real aspirations for big goals next year. But man, the offense is so fun. I love Jordan Travis. I
Jordan
cannot
Travis is awesome,
believe
man.
I cannot believe he is at the point he is now with his talent level. I mean, he was like legitimately not good like 2 years ago, like not good at all. If you would have told
Bo
me,
Nix, also not good.
Right. So obviously I was super happy about that. Florida State's continue to get a lot of really good news in the portal, guys coming back. Shout out the Notre Dame South Carolina game was really good.
That was awesome.
I think I picked South Carolina to win outright, and I was feeling good about that. That didn't come to fruition. How about Texas Tech?
Okay, so this is the one game that has stood out to me the most during this because whatever day that was, it was
the
an
Arkansas
awesome day
game
of football.
too.
Oh yeah, so all right, let's get into this because this is like before like I guess every game goes on December 30th and December 31st. Obviously, you get into like New Year's Six bowls and like some of these bigger bowl games. And like anybody that has been like sitting on like a soapbox about how bowl games don't matter, and it's like Cannell even said something like you should have to have won 9 games, or maybe it was 8 games to be bowl eligible. I was like, there's been so many good bowl games. I mean, Oregon and UNC. You brought up the Notre Dame South Carolina game, your game against Oklahoma. Man, it's been a really, really good bowl
UCLA
season.
was really good. I don't know if you watched that. 37-35.
Pitt won, right?
Pitt won, yeah. I was shocked by that. Did you get a chance to watch the Ohio-Wyoming game on Barstool?
Absolutely not, no.
I mean, obviously the two teams aren't great, but I thought it was pretty interesting, like, side deal that, I mean, like, they just could say whatever they want. Like, they were cussing.
He dropped a GD on live TV, or did he?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with this like smug look on my like in like dismissive attitude about it, but like this, I mean,
that's what we do.
Yep. No, but I mean, good for them. It's pretty cool. They have their own bowl for sure. So the Texas Tech game, the Texas Tech Ole Miss game. If there was a case to be made about how bad officiating was impacting a game, it was that game over anything else this bowl season.
Okay, and I missed that.
So it was like because it was a late start. It was like a 9:00 start for that game. I think y'all's game was still on. Mm-hmm. If you missed it, Lane Kiffin was just like some teetering on a line between like Lane Kiffin, just like the riverboat gambler going for it. Went for a 4th and 1 on his own 11-yard line in the second quarter.
No, you know why I missed that? Because we were recording during it.
That's right.
Our game was the next day. Yeah.
Okay. So, but like I remember I was like watching this game and I was like, he's like either gonna be, I don't know, like all these gambles are gonna like pay off and he's gonna look like a genius because the analytics, or he's gonna finish the season out like Brian Harsin did last year and just fucking shit the bed the entire rest of the season from like November on. And that's what happened. But as I was watching the game, there was like several things that happened. I was like, I don't want to be caught like a prisoner of the moment. Like I'm sure that announcers aren't like actively pulling against a certain team or a certain conference. That'd be ridiculous. And I think 99% of the time that doesn't happen. I start to get on Twitter and like on, social media, Andre Ware just going out of his way, I feel like, to like anything that could have happened against Ole Miss. There was at one point I put a video up about this because I was like, I don't want to sound like an idiot if I throw that out there everywhere. Tim Elko was tweeting about it, like the fucking first baseman from Ole Miss's baseball team.
Yeah.
Because at one point they had, I think Texas Tech had two penalties all night. There was like a targeting call, I think, that where a kid got suspended for the first half of next season. And at one point they had it was like a 3rd and 1 or something like that. And they were just dissecting. There's so many fucking reviews in this game. And it's clear that the kid's knees are on the ground because that's how gravity works. Like, and he was falling to the ground. And Andre was like,
I'm not a big gravity guy. I'll just be honest.
Gravity bong, dude. That's about it.
Oh, sick. Yeah.
But Andre Ware was like, do you see any daylight between his knee and the grass? And the guy next to him was like, I can't fucking do it. This is like, it was unbelievable. It was, and then like late in the game, they have, did you see that one-handed catch that Malik Heath made in the corner of the end zone?
I don't think so.
So he's getting like just bodied by the defender. And he's like grabbing his jersey, and he just one hand cradles it into this, like the side of his left side of his body, scores, and they have to go for two because they were down by like 10. So they go for two, and they run this like crossing route, and the guy's like almost wide open. And as he's about to break free, the linebacker for Texas Tech turns him like with both hands, like this. And I was like, that I feel like that's a flag, and they didn't call it. Andre Ware immediately goes, "That's really good coverage. That is really good coverage."
And dude, Andre Ware is a horrible announcer, by the way.
Is he bad? He's like, it's not good.
No, it's not good.
No. Also, did you see RG3, the fake pregnancy thing?
Yes, I did hear about that. That's weird.
Did you hear about the baby?
No.
It wasn't born.
What?
So, like, I think they were trying to make some like viral moments, like, oh my gosh, RG3 found out his wife was going into labor in the sidelines, and he bolts like out of the stadium. So like it was clearly staged, and he was like on the phone. He's like, "You're going into labor," and he like runs out of like high fives like all the guys like that are he's like on the sidelines with, and then sprints out of the stadium.
Was this at the Michigan game?
I have no. Well, probably. It's one where Cole Kublik was at, whichever one that was.
Yeah, that was a Michigan game.
So he sprints out of the stadium because his wife's in labor, and then tells everyone, "It's like, no worries, guys. I made it home just in time as she was going into labor. So lucky me." And they were like, "What was it, a boy or a girl?" And it's like, she didn't have the baby, which I didn't know was an option.
No, it is. I mean, it may not have been that she was in labor. But yeah, that's pretty funny.
It was really weird. It was very weird.
Obviously we got some good games coming up tomorrow. We're not going to preview them.
You think we're going to end this podcast without me talking about that Bama win in New Orleans? You're wrong.
Oh yeah, of course. I'll say my piece, then I'll let you kind of end the show talking about the Bama game. I'm so glad that it worked out that Bryce Young and Will Anderson decided to play in the game, and I haven't seen Will Anderson's stats, but I mean Bryce Young just 15 of 21, 321, 5 TDs. Just an incredible game from Bryce, and obviously it's crazy to me that he never won a championship at Bama.
He did. He was on the 2020 team.
Well, but like as the quarterback.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the walk-ons won too, asshole.
I just, it's so weird that like this 2-year window where he played for a national title.
Well, because I think he's the best QB that I've seen at Bama.
Again, don't want to be a person of the moment, but I think he might be the best player they've had. He's definitely the best quarterback they've ever had, and that's like really saying something from Jalen to Mac, Jacob Coker,
right? Don't forget JP Dubs.
It also has me very, very concerned for whoever comes in next year, just because of the natural fall off you're going to have of like talent. Because
Drake May,
he's going to Notre Dame. You brought up like the
that's
numbers,
Hartman,
right?
Hartman.
Oh, that's right. You brought up like the numbers he put up.
Mm-hmm.
So Kansas State like went on a roll like to end the season, right? Offensively and defensively, they were putting up like 39 points a game, like 460 yards of offense. But on defense, especially in their secondary, they hadn't allowed a single quarterback over 250. Or there was one quarterback that had over 250 yards. It was Duggan, had 251. They were in the last 6 games of the season. Quarterbacks were averaging only 201 yards per game, and 6.1 yards per attempt. It was one of the bottom 10 or one of the best yards per attempt, I guess. Defenses, whatever you want to say, in the country. Like they were dominant at times. In the last 6 games, they'd allowed a total of 6 touchdowns through the air and had 7 interceptions. They had been really, really good. Also, they on the other side of the ball, Will Howard had 15 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. Anyway, what Bryce did was amazing, man, and it was. I'm so glad they like didn't backfire because you saw that with Matt Corral last year getting hurt. But I don't know if there's two kids that meant more to the program from like a glue standpoint. And I keep hearing about like, Bama had like the most talented roster of all time. They clearly did not. Like, just bottom line. I can't imagine where that team would have been without those two. Saban probably would have already retired or jumped off a bridge.
You think he's gonna retire now? Off the
I thought he was going to retire
big Sugar Bowl win.
See, first off, and I love this too because everyone was like, "It's Kansas State, dude."
Yeah,
it's a fucking it's a Power 5 conference champ that's ranked 9th in the country.
And Kansas State, yeah, like Kansas State's like a legit good team. They won the Big 12.
Didn't they just beat?
They beat TCU.
Did they beat TCU? Okay, yeah, I thought they did.
They did
crazy.
beat TCU.
Weird
on a neutral field.
That happens.
Yeah,
I was really happy about that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Have you heard anything about the what's that 5-star kid that you guys Ty Simpson? Is he gonna be the guy next year?
Name. I have no idea. I think that sounds like the guy that used to host those like remodeling shows on ABC.
Oh yeah, that guy's name was Ty.
Yeah, that's why then, I guess.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like again, I think Milroe probably has Milroe's just a physical freak, and I would love to live in some universe where he is going to be the starter. But knowing full well he is going to lead that team to a 9-3 record no matter what. That is the ceiling and the floor. But yeah, I don't know. So
couple questions here in the chat, and then maybe we'll call it for the night.
Yeah.
College football defense now gone forever after the COVID season of 2020. Can 17 to 10 games ever be good again? My personal opinion is it really had nothing to do with COVID. I know we try to basically blame everything on COVID, but it's just the way games are called now. There's so much favor to the offense when it comes to how refs call games. I think it's just and plus some of these the RPO, it seems like legitimately impossible to defend well at all times.
You know, it is impossible to defend. I realized last night when I was watching CJ Stroud do this. You roll a quarterback out and throw it deep, and you have one-on-one coverage. Just underthrow it. Just underthrow it by 5-10 yards, and it's automatically going to be a pass interference.
And I don't think 17-10 games are fun at all. I mean, I've got now on at halftime. It's 10-3 Steelers and Ravens. That's an awful game.
It's an awful
nothing fun about it
for sure. No, I mean, I don't think also the whole defense is dead thing. Georgia just had one of the best defenses in the history of college football a year ago in an era where they're facing those kind of offenses. But I don't know. I think our perception of, or where the benchmark we have like for what a good defense is like it's just different now.
It's definitely different now. Yeah. Which Power 5 head coach will be fired like 2022 Auburn did in 2023? So making up a scandal about the coach.
I mean,
that seems like a Texas A&M thing for sure. By the way,
I don't think they would do that. I feel like they would have too much of a scouts honor type thing. They'd be like, we can't do that to him, dude.
That's fair.
It might be LSU. I don't think it's a fake scandal.
You got to text you with your buddies down. We got to get Moscona on here for a live breakdown of the LSU sex party.
A live breakdown, just like an all 22.
Yeah, all 5 at least. You know what I mean?
That is so much.
I don't know. I mean, I could, dude. If A&M gets off to a really bad start next year, I could see them firing him.
There's no way. It's still like 83 million.
Just saying.
I just love the look in your eye when you talk about this. It's, and Davo, it's so good.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Who else?
Anything tomorrow you're excited about? Because I feel like,
I'm trying
to think like the first game of the day is not Texas Tech. I'm sorry, Mississippi State and how much on a blank?
Illinois, which is just. Oh God. Anytime I think about college football, I think about Illinois. You've got that game. You've got Tulane USC. That game could be fun. That's one of those games you watch just to root for the G5 team to beat the bigger team.
Yeah.
I think Caleb Williams actually is playing.
We don't know.
We don't know.
I heard he's having a sex party.
Well, that's kind of the thing now. But that game, I guess, could be fun. You got LSU Purdue. That's the largest spread, I think, of the bowl season, 14.5.
I heard it was the largest spread for sure.
And then Penn State Utah will be a really good game, actually. That last game, 5 p.m. Love the Rose Bowl. Always got to watch the Rose Bowl.
Wait, that's not the last game? I thought there was one more after it, right?
I don't think so.
You can't close the day with the Rose Bowl.
I don't see any other games after 5 p.m.
God, I hate everything this year. They did not set this up at all, or set this up well at all.
Yeah, having no games on January 1st is just. I mean, I understand it because you can't go up against the NFL, but God, that's bad.
Hold on. I fucking hate when they do this. You have 4 games throughout the day, right? Oh, it's because the NFL, it's Monday night, so they have a Monday night game. God damn it. So you have 4 total games under the day. 3 of them are going to be at 12, 1, and 1. Cool. Thanks, guys. And then you don't have another bowl game until the national championship. So really going out with a bang.
So is LSU. All right. Well, that's going to be the show tonight.
That being said, we are going to have a listener meetup. It will be a group orgy for sure, but with words and kindness.
Yeah. Did you ever get the review of the fan who sat with you at the game?
Okay, yeah. So a little context to this: we gave away tickets to the Iron Bowl for some lucky winner, to sit through 60 minutes of Alabama football with me, which is not lucky at all. They also gave us tickets to the Peach Bowl. So we went yesterday and had a blast. We were sitting next to 2, I don't know, 12 to 28-year-olds. I can't tell anymore at this time. 2 girls. One of them got so drunk that she put her feet up on the person in front of her on his shoulders like an ottoman.
Okay.
And then just passed out.
That
was really nice. Anyway, but there was a review that was left. I feel like you should read it, not me.
Okay. Do you want to send it to me? Do you want to email it to me?
Yeah, I feel like we should just do this for next time because it's going to take a second, right? Yeah.
That's fair. Just as an update, it appears that the Destiny Wilson on-campus recruiter for LSU, she has blocked her Twitter and Instagram currently.
What do you mean she blocked it?
Like she went on private. That's usually a sign that things are amok. I would think that if you're like in the recruiting game, you wouldn't have a private social media account. Just saying.
Just the fact that you said this has been consistent behavior from her in the past.
Well, I didn't say that. That was on the thing. Okay. I don't know Destiny. She's probably a great woman.
Destiny wild.
Yeah.
Also, the sheer irony of her going on private after allegedly having a starting 5 in basketball just go to town. I mean, I just don't.
That's
a lot. I don't like it.
Okay. Well, this was a great show, man. I had a blast celebrating with all the Georgia fans last night. I've never been a Georgia fan. I was rocking Georgia gear, so people thought I was a fan, although I was rocking I did meet, by the way, for those that don't follow me on Twitter, I got to meet Pollock and Herb Street last night on my way up to my seats. Maybe I just caught him at a bad moment, but Pollock was kind of a dick, and
I just love that you've said that out loud twice now.
Yeah. And I've had that story corroborated by many people that have met him. Like they were all like, "Oh I've met him before too," and he was definitely a dick. So that's kind of weird.
I did it, yeah. I carbonarated that as well.
Yeah,
carburetor for sure.
Carbonara. But Herb Street was a great guy. My wife, who had drinks like I did, was like, "You've been on his podcast. You've been on his podcast."
She said it to Herb Street?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I was like, yeah. You know, you probably don't remember me, but, you know.
But what you said will be burned into my memory forever because it haunts my dreams to this day.
I should have told him about the Luke Bryan thing.
God, it was so bad.
Anyways.
I would give anything for him to redeem himself and be like, I must have, like, I'm sure I was just making a joke. Or, like, Jesus Christ. He's got to denounce that. It's so bad.
Yeah. Herb Street is a good guy, man. I'd say,
He's
like,
a really good guy.
he like, you know, for being such a big celebrity in the college football world, like he's super approachable and nice.
By the way, are you kind of over Chris Fowler at this point?
Oh, I've been over Fowler. He took so much joy in the 2014 season every time Florida State was losing.
Why?
Because I could tell he didn't like the team. I mean, they were unlikable, I will say, but he just was devastated when Miami blew the game and we beat Miami. Like he was just devastated when Jalen Ramsey picked it off to end the game. Picked off Jalen Ramsey.
Dude, he had like I used to think he used to be like Reese Davis. He did everything. And then he kind of slipped into this Dan Wolken phase where he's like, you know what? Yeah, I am. Where he's like, I just want to do tennis. I'll just do tennis in the big games.
He loves tennis.
And so like now you'll see him on like some of these like calls. Like he'll be like Reese and then will be in studio and he'll be like, I'm actually in Miami. How's the weather up in Connecticut, huh, guys? And I was like, what a dick.
Yeah, absolutely. Marler's going to be doing the war chant with Huck. That's right, baby. You're going to be a Florida State fan soon, dude. I can feel it. Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, man. It's been an hour 15. We appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yeah.
Get back to your night. I know none of you have work tomorrow, which is great. Enjoy it.
Yes, it's a new year. So
yeah,
new year.
Happy New Year.
Make sure you Happy New Year to you, man.
Yeah. New year, new you. You're gonna be living in Florida now.
Resolutions. That one guy can stop being a bitch.
I am starting a whole new daily routine. Something really bad about me. I have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. And
me too.
My new thing is I'm going to be waking up early, doing a little bit of self-development, a little exercise, like little time away from the phone and technology without the kids.
Sounds like you're just talking about masturbation.
We'll see how long this takes before I give up on it. But
I'm going to start with my new routine too, which is I'm going to like sleep into the afternoon because I'm more productive at night.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
For sure.
Okay, cool. All right, 5 stars. Go subscribe, like on YouTube. We appreciate it. We will talk to you guys later in the week.